What's up, guys? How we doing? A little Wednesday Link action on a Thursday. Feels like I say that a lot of times, but we're here. Thomas, how's it going?
It's going well. I mean, they just wrapped up their second joint practice versus the Cleveland Browns, and there's a lot to break down. And so I figured we hop on here, go for the next 45 minutes, and break down everything that we saw and heard from Eagles' second joint practice, their final joint practice, Josh, and didn't go so well. Was not a very good day overall for Philadelphia.
It was not, and we will get there. By the way, shout out to everybody in the chat. As always, make sure to drop a like. We have some important announcement to make here. Some exciting news. We'll start on a positive note before we get into the practice details and everything else. Thomas hit 100K.
There we go.
Shout out to Thomas. Let's go.
We did it.
It happened.
Yes, thank you.
Come on now.
Thank you. Very exciting.
How does it feel?
Feels good. Feels good to join the crew. You know, you're one of the few that has 100,000 as an Eagles content creator. And so a part of the club now. I'm going to get the plaque and everything and then do all the giveaways. So we have a ton of giveaways. I'm going to talk about it all on my next show, either tonight or tomorrow morning. And of course, if you're subscribed and commented on previous shows, you're entered. Might go ahead and spin for the BG Dorney Park tickets that I'm giving away on this live stream. If you want to pull my most recent video, we'll do that towards the end, but we'll pick that winner as well. But the tickets and the signed jerseys and stuff, that'll be on my next show. So people who are waiting to see who wins that, stay tuned. But I appreciate everybody. 100,000's not easy, as Josh knows. He's at 135, and the fact that we're here is very exciting and just in time for the start of the season.
There we go. That's big time. Love to see it. Yes, and I will get that deal up there so we can do that giveaway as well. So there we go. Well, sorry, as you can tell, I was not prepared for this. But Thomas threw this, in all fairness, at the last
we don't have
second.
to do it
so
now. No, I'm saying
I know. I'm just making sure to get it set up. So, okay.
Of course.
Make sure the screen's good.
I was going to say, the real news today is the fact that, Philadelphia technically won their joint practice yesterday versus the Browns. It was close, according to reports. Wasn't like Philadelphia blew them out.
Mm-hmm.
The real problem was that today they lost. I mean, if we were going head-to-head and rating a joint practice, which, you can only do so much in terms of that, but they didn't play well. Now, no Lane Johnson. He was out with rest. No Saquon. No A.J. Brown. Obviously, no Landon Dickerson. But Philadelphia got worked a little bit, and it wasn't just defensively. Like, we know the secondary has been struggling. I think a lot of guys played poorly yesterday, especially Ja'Cory and Bennett. Not much better today. Joe Flacco was, I think, 7 for 10 with 2 touchdowns with the first-team offense versus that first-team defense. But Philly's offense didn't do much either. They had multiple possessions inside the 25 and didn't score. So do we freak out? No. But we do acknowledge that Philadelphia, every single year in training camp, is a work in progress. They're not going to just jump on the football field and, score 50 points against the Chiefs week 1, or I guess week 2, but you get my point.
Yep.
And that there are still things that Philadelphia has to work with, and there are still some concerns. I'm not going to freak out about anything, Josh, but I do think cornerback 2 continues to be a pretty big red flag, and it's not gotten better as I hoped it would once joint practices began.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because we see some different semblances. I'm totally with you, as Panda here is saying as well. Why are people freaking out over practice? I've seen some comments. Being we're on social media, any of the videos, there are some people that are like, "Oh my gosh, this is a little bit scary. This is terrifying." To whatever extent. But it is of the element. There's some truth to at least the part of, okay, so like let's just take wide receiver for example, right? So it was A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson. Who's the other guy? Now, initially, it was nobody knows. Well, then Elijah Cooks, okay, possibly. Terrace Marshall starting to show up. Darius Cooper. And then but Johnny Wilson, what's he going to do? All of a sudden, Johnny Wilson's now taking the job, I think, by the horns. Like, it feels like it's his job, and he's making plays. You're not hearing the same thing. So, again, it's just practice. I'm with you, and I'm with a lot of people there, but it is a different feeling and a different element of if there was a guy, if it was, insert whoever you want, but if it was Keely Ringo and he was making those plays, it wouldn't be, well, so Keely got the start today, and now it's like 8-6 or whatever the official number is compared to Adoree Jackson, but he's getting pulled, and Ja'Cory and Bennett's getting first-team reps in there. I know that Vic likes to put a bunch of different combinations, so that's totally fair, but you don't hear, well, Q ran with the third team today. Q ran with the second team today. No, there's solidified starters, and then there's not. So we understand the fact that it's like, well, it's still a work in progress, but we're getting a little closer, and we're hearing some instances where almost make a play or make a good play and then get beat. Like, for example, yesterday, Keely Ringo apparently was really close to making an interception, and then the very next play, almost rinse and repeat of what happened against Jamar Chase, but it was Jerry Jeudy. So, you're like, it's just that fluidity, the ability to stop on a dime, maybe to size someone up in space that he's had some issues with. But you could name it for everybody else. You could say Adoree Jackson, the same thing. Jacorian Bennett made a good pass breakup and then several plays of mistake. Now it's micro-focused, right? Because like this is all that we have to go off of. So yes, we understand. Pump the brakes, chill out. Nobody's freaking out, as Thomas, you were saying. But there's still that element of if we're going to nitpick this team and if we're going to say where do they need to improve or are there any minor concerns, yeah, obviously it's cornerback too because we don't have that one solidified and we know for sure what we have in Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. So, we'll get there. I'm not worried. 803 is not worried. Trey's not worried. A lot of people are not worried. I get it. I'm not either. Some people say we need to trade for a cornerback, which I know has also become a topic.
Which one?
As well.
Which one?
It feels like Asante Samuel Jr. continues to be the name that I'm seeing.
Signing,
so
right?
It's
people say trade.
Yeah, that's true. Trade, a move. Yeah, that's fair. Greg Newsome, because I think people mentioned, well, Cleveland, right? Like he's there already. Sure. If Howie likes him, it just you haven't seen enough from Jacorian Bennett, even if he's not the guy, right? Because it's only 3 practices, if I'm not mistaken, of like legit practice. I think he was like out doing drills and stuff, but like 3 legit practices that he's gotten in now. So. Like it takes a little bit for any guy, let alone someone in Fangio's defense. So, yeah, maybe we wait for just a little bit.
Well,
we're getting.
I think Nick Sirianni had a very good line today where he said, we're still evaluating cornerback and we're not in a rush. These guys can still improve dramatically over the next couple of weeks, which I agree with. And like you just said, Jacorian Bennett has only had a couple of full practices since being traded, and clearly it takes time to get settled in this defensive system. Jahan Dotson. Counter to the defense, had trouble getting settled in the Eagles offense last year whenever he was traded over. I just think it's 21 days until you play CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. I mean, this is a very serious wide receiver threat. And the only way Dallas wins that game is if they score 40 points. And the only way they score 40 points is if Philadelphia's secondary gets picked on a little bit with whoever is not, having to deal with Quinyon Mitchell. And we're not saying that that's going to be a problem or that Philadelphia is going to give up 40 points because the rest of the defense is very good. I do just wonder how many more practices are we going to go until Vic and Howie and the rest of the Eagles front office clearly shows us who their pick is for that cornerback 2 spot. Right now, if they were playing tomorrow, I would bet all the money in my bank account that it's Adoree Jackson. I think Jackson has been better enough than Keely Ringo. They would trust him more to not give up the big play. Talk about that zero blitz that, Keely Ringo got burned by Jamar Chase on that stop route, went right by him and scored. The fear is not that, Keely Ringo can't make those plays. It's that Adoree Jackson would not have given up a touchdown there in theory, or he would have made the tackle there, hopefully, and still given up a catch, but not a big score. And I think that Adoree probably wins that right now. I don't think Jacorian Bennett has that much more time, though, right? Like, if we get through Saturday's preseason game and he struggles, and then we get into, late next week and he's, 2 weeks in to being a cornerback and he's not getting enough starter reps, I think it's probably a telltale sign he's not going to be the guy early. Maybe he has a Cooper DeJean-like resurrection, 5 or 6 weeks in and becomes the guy. Who knows? But I do think this is Philadelphia's one weakness. Doesn't mean it's going to sink their season or their defense is terrible because of it. But it's the one thing that I think fans most notably are concerned about, and we got to keep an eye on it over the next, 21 days until week 1.
Yes. Shout out to Anthony DeBona in the chat. Says, good afternoon, everyone.
What's
up, Anthony? He agrees with you, by the way. He feels that Adoree Jackson is going to be the guy for week 1. I tend to believe the same thing. I threw out the notion, like you were kind of thrown out there for the hypothetical as well, of maybe, if you're having issues, like say Adoree Jackson's the guy, you get into the season 4 or 5 weeks like a Cooper DeJean, and that perhaps gives or gave Jacorian Bennett enough time to, figure things out, be more comfortable in Vic Fangio's scheme. He's had issues in the past with tackling. It's not the greatest. The one thing that you could say, and it's a very small sample size, so I totally understand this, but still, the one thing that you could say is he played fairly well against Jamar Chase and against, I forget the other, there was like 3 or 4 other big time, Cortland Sutton, kind of the number 1 receivers for teams, that he was able to, really kind of limit and hold to like, a couple catches, 20, 30 yards, something like that. He doesn't have to be 0 catches, 0 targets like Q did for Terry McLaurin. He's going to get the ball thrown his way. But like you're mentioning there, as long as it's not like, 10 targets, 9 catches allowed, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, like, oh my gosh, then it is a panic session. He's obviously not going to be the guy. But I just wonder, Can he resort back to that? Because he's been really good, especially in zone coverage. I think right now it's probably just a lot of overwhelmed being in a new system, trying to figure things out, the calls within Fangio and what he's trying to do. So, it's not a assuring thing. I wouldn't say that I'm going in there going, oh yeah, worst case scenario, Adoree doesn't work out. We'll just put Ja'Cory Bennett in there and we're all good to go. But there's still a reason that how he made that trade. So I don't know. We're wishful thinking, perhaps some would say, optimistic viewpoint as well. Like Anthony says here too, Adoree Jackson, and I think you mentioned this on one of the other streams, but Adoree Jackson just has a higher floor than all the other options at cornerback 2 right now. Even if it's not a higher ceiling, it is a higher floor.
I think so. I mean, Kelee Ringo has all the talent in the world, and this was supposed to be his training camp, but he's not grabbed that spot by the horns. And he can still play. I wouldn't be shocked if there's, a minor injury to somebody ahead of him and he gets in and starts some games for Philadelphia this year. Probably why they went ahead and traded for Ja'Cory Bennett, just to have enough depth right there in case an injury were to happen. But he's not run away with it like you and I were really hoping would happen before training camp started. And, it is what it is. Philadelphia can't have superstars at every single position. That's the bright spot of all of this, is that everywhere else, the other cornerback spot is great. The nickel spot is great. The safety spot, hopefully with Sidney Brown, who had a pretty good day-to-day, is great. Defensive line is fantastic. Like, they're really good everywhere else. This is just kind of the one spot where, we'll keep an eye on, and it's going to be very, very interesting. I do think, Ja'Cory Bennett's going to play on Saturday, Josh. Adoree and Kelee, they're going to play on Saturday afternoon. They got to show us something. Like, it cannot be Joe Burrow going 9 of 10 for 100-plus yards and a touchdown pass to Jamar Chase and just carving up Philly's defense, even without a lot of the starters. They have got to show us a lot more, and it'll be crazy how quickly all of us cornerback 2 doubters can switch if one of those 3 has a really impressive game. One interception, one nice PBU, a couple of nice stops on the outside would be enough to completely change our focus on cornerback 2, and we'll see what happens.
And we also, I feel like it's almost every single stream that I bring this up, maybe even every single video as well. I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to turn into the same instance for what it was Nakobe Dean, but even through the preseason games, remember, we watched it, and it was Nakobe Dean was not showing enough. Now, you don't have to say that he was bad, but he was not showing enough to where we're going, all right, cool. Yeah, Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, I can see that for the linebackers. Would you have guessed? Would any of us have guessed? I mean, realistically, some people out there are saying like, oh, yeah, I knew it all along. Maybe they did. But would you have guessed the Eagles would have the top linebacker duo watching preseason last year? I mean, there's no chance. There's absolutely no chance because we had no clue, especially for what Nakobe Dean was doing there. So maybe, it would be kind of crazy. It would be a little bit unexpected, but perhaps Kelee Ringo with that, because I agree. I think that Adoree Jackson probably has that higher floor, but when it comes to the ceiling and the potential, I still think that there's some hope out there for Kelee Ringo. And if the Eagles, Vic Fangio mainly, but if they feel like, let's just see. He's had some mistakes.
Yeah.
We think he's learned from it. There's a chance here for him. Let's just roll him out there. George Pickens, that could be terrifying, yes, but let's just roll him out there. See what happens week 1. If it doesn't turn out, then, okay, fine. Maybe we go back to the vet. Or who knows? It maybe is Adoree Jackson. But to me, it feels like still at this point, it's a 50-50. I can agree with the standpoint of all the notions for an Adoree Jackson, and it wouldn't surprise me if he were to start, but there's something with the way that, especially Howie Roseman, we know how he feels about all the Philly dogs, but there's just something about the way that they talk about Kelee Ringo and even in the mistakes that he's made where it's like they don't want to quit on him yet. And I'm also not saying let's not quit on him, of course, but like he just has to show some stuff. If he can finish that play, it's like the $1 million start and the 10-cent finish almost on those reps for Kelee Ringo, because we were there at camp, right, when he had the pick 6 in his hands. He's about to head down the field with a pick 6 and he dropped it. So if he can do that, just finish the play, I think he's the guy, because he's just different, right? There's the size, there's the athleticism, fluidity at hips. We can say that's a knock on him, but it would be nice if you just get another Philly dog. Philly dogs have been doubted in the past, so maybe we get one of those.
The good news is that in terms of week 1, Josh, that you're not calling any sort of crazy defenses that's going to isolate the cornerback 2 against Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. They're going to play the typical Vic Fangio rush 4, drop everybody else in coverage, and they're going to definitely shade and help to the other side besides Quinyon Mitchell. So that will alone help no matter who's playing cornerback.
Yeah, that is very true. Shout out to you guys, by the way, getting to some of these super chats a little bit behind here, but we do appreciate those. Supreme with a 2. Thanks for that. Says, are we doing a fantasy draft this year? That's a good question. Yes.
It's a good
We
question.
need to get on that.
Yeah, Josh and I need to talk about it. I haven't said this to Josh privately, but I think we should make it a 12-person fantasy league instead of 16, because 16 is brutal in terms of what your team actually is and how much you can move around.
It was rough last year.
Maybe we'll cut it down a little bit and maybe do a couple of 12-person leagues. But we're going to do that. We'll probably have more details by this time next week, I would say.
There we go. And most likely, just based on scheduling and everything else, I would just say it's probably after the final preseason game.
Yes.
But we will share the draft is usually during a live stream that we do here, so it's kind of drafting and talking about Eagles news. But yes, more info to come on that one. We'll keep you guys posted.
Yep.
Let's see. Dylan's mom, I think so, with 5. Appreciate that. Guys, congrats to you both on the success of both your channels. Dylan and I have been subscribed and watching since day one. Go Birds.
Wow. There you go. We appreciate that. Thanks, Dylan.
Thank you to both you and Dylan. Yeah, heck yeah. You guys are make it possible, as we said. All you guys, the loyal fans, subscribers, everything else, it never gets old, seeing posts and comments. I know, Thomas, you had lots of these on, I'm sure your video, but also the Twitter X post. But, it's like, I've been watching you since way back when, right before your journey, even on your own channel. Won't name anything else beyond that, but, watching you since way back when. And it's cool. It's awesome. To have even gotten into it, Thomas was the one. I think most people know the story, but, I was like, hey, Josh, you should start a YouTube channel. And lo and behold,
here we are.
I don't know. Never envisioned it. So thank you to all of you guys. We very much appreciate it. Crazy stuff to come and really just getting started. So Deontay Francis, on that note as well, a 10 bomb. Let's go. Congratulations on 100K. Been a journey.
Thank you. Thank you. It has been a journey. Yeah, we're entering the 3rd season since we started the channel, and we're at 100,000, which is crazy. So appreciate the love. I mean, a ton of people reached out to me, which is great.
There we go. Awesome. Very much appreciate it, guys. Okay. Well, we talked about the cornerback too. There's lots of other topics and comments in the chat, which we very much appreciate that. I think that it's interesting with cornerback is obviously the concern for the defense, the biggest of the concerns. You say cornerback too. Safety is one of those also that gets thrown out there. As my dog is barking in the background.
He's concerned too.
He's going with the Philly dogs, I guess. But the safety with Sidney Brown, Andrew Makuba, Drew's getting some reps now, having come back from his shoulder injury. I can't wait for the preseason game on Saturday for that, because we thought that, at first it was like, well, maybe he's not going to play. Then he's in warmups, and some reporters are going, hey, it looks like he's going to give it a go here. We're going to see him. We did not get to. So this is probably the first time we're going to see Drew Makuba in action. And I think that goes a long way. Sidney Brown kind of edging him out right now, but a long way for Drew Makuba to potentially end up getting that starter job.
Yeah, and he had an interception at the very end of training camp today on a tip pass that was into the end zone. The Brown receiver kind of popped it up, and Makuba found it. When we saw Makuba at training camp last week, he got beat for a touchdown on Dallas Goedert, a couple of slant routes as well. He definitely still seems raw. He clearly is not, walking in there and being Cooper DeJean day one or Quinton Mitchell day one. I'm not sure he's going to have that sort of rookie season, but he's dramatically trending up from where he was even a couple of days ago. I feel like every single practice this guy gets under his belt, he's been getting better and better. I do agree that Sidney Brown, if we started the season today, would be the week 1 starter. I think he's going to be the week 1 starter regardless of where Makuba is at the next couple of weeks, because Vic probably trusts him more. But I don't think it's a secret that Vic Fangio is not in love with Sidney Brown. He's not saying he doesn't like him, right? I mean, Vic loves all of his players. But you can tell when Vic Fangio loves somebody, like he's a massive Jihad Campbell fan. Like he loves Jihad Campbell. He loves Zach Bond. There are plenty of players that are like Vic Fangio's guys. Sidney Brown was not a draft pick that was, obviously by the Vic Fangio staff. He was prior to that, dealing with injuries. I think that he is still very much in line to win in this position. But if Andrew Makuba, like you said, flashes on Saturday, showing that he can really start to diagnose offenses and be in the right position, because that's what Vic Fangio wants his safeties to do, is just be in the right spot. I don't need you to go make 7 picks in a season, but just be where you're supposed to be and make the play. He could really start to push Sidney Brown a lot more as we get closer to, less than 3 weeks out right now. So he was a positive today. And I think the defense overall, especially the linebackers and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. were also the other positive, Josh. Trotter Jr. was probably the best player on the defense, according to multiple reporters. And another guy very much in a battle for that week 1 starting job at linebacker. A lot of people think Jihad Campbell's going to take it. And I might be one of them, but Jeremiah Trotter Jr., you talk about being in the right place at the right time. He's had 2 years now in the system, or 2 off seasons. He had a very good practice today, and you wonder if he could be locking down that starting spot and then allowing Campbell to mix in, obviously, but kind of winning that job sooner rather than later.
Especially when it comes to run stopping, like any run plays. I think that's been the
He's
general
been very
takeaway
good.
from everybody is like he's basically in the right position every single time, meeting the running back in the hole. There's no live tackling, so it's like, okay, does he finish the
Right.
job? We haven't seen issues with that in the past. I think that he could definitely do that. It's just when you got a freak like Jahad Campbell, it's so difficult to say.
Yes.
Do you roll with someone who's more seasoned, recognizes whether it's a run or pass a little bit quicker, or do you go, the fact that you could have Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell both out there
That's
together,
true.
walk either one down to the line, right, and shift things from the edge. We saw that in the open practice. There was one play in particular that it's so small, but it's also the little things that you just love to see from Vic Fangio's defense, but also the potential of this defense with the versatility. And Jahad walks down to the line. You shift the line over. All of a sudden, you've got 6 guys there lined up on the line of scrimmage. You knew it was running down anyway, and Jahad ends up making the tackle by coming to back to the middle of the field to wrap up Saquon, not fully tackling, but wrap him up, kind of stop the play. So I like that you can't do it as much. Not that Trot is impossible to walk him down the edge, but it's just not the same type of mismatch. So it's a difficult battle, but it's the same instance of what we've been saying for so long. The Eagles have so many linebackers, and we couldn't have envisioned that, like a year ago. So it's a great problem to have. I just think with the way that Jahad Campbell has progressed, I'm looking forward to the second preseason game. Does he play like a quarter? Do they play him just a series at this point? Because we know what he had. We're not going to risk anything for injury. Does he get significantly more time than that? I'm curious to see the type of reps that he does get, because it feels like he's one of those guys. Obviously, we know they have to, if anything, hold him back. Like, chill out, man. You're good. You don't need to hurt our guys, obviously, but you don't want any injuries. He plays with reckless abandon within reason, I suppose. But I just can't wait to week 1. And Nick Sirianni said in his press conference today, he's like, our goal is to get people healthy and there for week 1. So, do you save him from himself, so to speak, there?
I think he's got to play. I mean, as a rookie, I think you got to play him for at least a quarter. I mean, Jeremiah Charter Jr. played like 2.5 quarters in that preseason opener, right? And he can definitely start. So they're not saving him from any sort of injury. They're getting him out there to make sure he has reps. And I think Campbell's was more precautionary because he's been limited to start training camp, but he's full go now. And so I think put him out there because you want him to get as many of those live reps as possible in case he is going to be your week 1 guy, going after Dak Prescott and stopping, Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, and then, of course, those tight ends in Dallas.
Be interesting to see. I want him to play as many reps because I just want to see it, on the preseason game. But it's we've seen in the past, and not that we're saying necessarily it's a little different for linebacker versus defensive line. But we saw Jalen Carter play extremely minimally his rookie year. They're like, yeah, you're good. Take him out. We don't need to see anything else. Nolan Smith, totally different story. Obviously, he played a ton, well into the third, even maybe fourth quarters, just to try to get the reps, confidence level, all that. Jahad's looked better and stronger, obviously, than Nolan comparing rookie seasons. But I'm with you at the same time, with it being a linebacker battle, a clear battle, because I don't think there's been a 100%, oh, yeah, he's obviously going to be the guy at this point. I'd love it. You run him out there for a couple quarters, get to see some stuff. If we could get a Jahad Campbell, maybe a sack, little hit stick, meet a running back in the hole, then you're like, all right, we're good. Take him out.
Yep.
I love the fact, too, by the way, just talking about Jahad a little bit more. I know we both covered it, talked about it, but Zach Bond and his reference of Jahad Campbell and the fact that he's willing to help him out, right? Like I said, in his press conference yesterday, he's going like, oh, Jahad, he's a freak. And everyone recognizes it, but you love it when you have players talking about other guys on the team. Same thing for Smitty and Darius Cooper. He's like, oh, yeah, after that preseason game, he's like, I pull up the YouTube highlights, check him out. He's like, he's impressive, like a little more than I realized. So, but Zach Bond, same thing for Jahad, but yet him saying, I'm not going to keep secrets. I'm not like, oh, don't share this with Jahad Campbell, with these other linebackers, because, I'm trying to like save my job longevity or things like that. He's like, I'm going to share.
Yeah.
If I can help in their career progression, in their growth, knowing how good Jahad Campbell can be, I'm going to give him all the secrets. And so to have someone with as high of a level IQ as Zach Bond playing the linebacker position, to share with a player who already has really high level IQ in John Campbell, but has insane athleticism. I'm like, man, the trajectory that he can be or really is already on, but that combined in this defense, it's just it's hard to not get overhyped. It's hard to not get overexcited about it.
Speaking of being over or underexcited, and I totally agree. One thing we do need to note from a poor Eagles practice today, it was very short. It was only like an hour and 6 minutes, and that's from
That's
literally
true. Yeah.
the start when they're like doing their warm-ups and then doing individual drills until the end. A lot of Eagle practices will go 1.5, close to 2 hours, with an hour of that being, 30 plays for the first team offense. This was like 10 plays, I think, or 15 plays for the first team offense. I think Joe Flacco threw like the ball 10 times overall. This was not really wasn't even close to like a simulated game. It was just a couple of reps here and there. And while, of course, we mentioned Philadelphia struggled, it's got to take it all with a grain of salt. And I wouldn't be too worried. Plus, no A.J. Brown or Lane Johnson. I mean, all reports said that Myles Garrett was feasting on the Eagle offensive line. And when you lose Myles Garrett or you lose Lane Johnson, it's not a surprise that Myles Garrett would be in the backfield the entire day.
Jordan Mailata's comment, he's like, yeah, I watch the film sometimes back against Myles Garrett. And it's like, I did everything right. Like, the technique is perfect. I'm in perfect position, and nothing you can do. Myles Garrett just wins.
Yep.
So, it's saying something. I appreciate the fact, though, that at least Myles Garrett, because the takeaway was that he's winning every rep, as you're saying, but he would kind of hold back once he was basically there to get to Hurts. He's like,
yes,
you guys get your rep in, whatever. That would probably be a sack in a game, but go ahead, throw the football. Keep trying to do something, but not the best day so far. No alarms being sounded. It's a little bit different. Landon Dickerson, I mean, the dude is a warrior. Was back on the field. Wasn't practicing. Back on the field though. To see him walking after the meniscus surgery yesterday, passing out some beers, I believe, to the Cleveland offensive line, maybe a little peace offering. Week 1 seems like. Seems like it could be a possibility. You don't necessarily have to rush it back, but as tough as Landon has been, and we saw him play through it in the NFC Championship game with his knee injury, you kind of knew it was a foregone conclusion. It's like, oh yeah, Landon's getting surgery. You heard Jalen talk about it yesterday too. They're like, hey, how does it feel? Yeah, nothing's too serious for Landon. He knows. He knows Landon's going to be good.
I think he's definitely going to be out there. I'd be surprised if he's not, although they've been raving about Brett Toth. They said that he had a very good day yesterday. Brett Toth said he didn't have a very good day, and so you wonder who's telling the truth. But they all have been saying that Toth looks the best that he's been. There was a lot of praise for Tyler Steen today. And so I think overall it's going to be an okay offensive line. And the good news is for Philadelphia, even if Dickerson doesn't play week 1, the interior Dallas defensive line is not that great. And there's a very real possibility Micah Parsons does not play in that game. And if he does, how many practices is he going to have under his belt by the time that he actually gets out there? I know Mike is doing a hold in, and so he's running around a little bit and working out and stuff and staying in condition, football shape, but he's not going to be close to football shape, and he will be on a massive pitch count if this continues and he does not get signed within the next 2 weeks. Like, if he gets signed a week before the Eagle game, 10 days before the Eagle game, it's not enough time to get him in a football shape. And so he'll be out there, and maybe he can make some plays based on skill alone, but I think Philadelphia's at least opening matchup against the Dallas Cowboys does favor their offensive line, because Dallas's interior and hopefully Micah Parsons' exterior or outside is not that great. Chiefs are a different story. They get Rashee Rice, of course, which is a little ridiculous, but, that's a topic for another day. Rams are going to be pretty scary. I mean, hopefully, even if you need to sit Dickerson week 1, he comes back for week 2, because it gets pretty tough there early on.
Yeah, we'd like to have him for the, difficult schedule that you run through at the beginning, but I think either way should be all right. A.J. Brown also, as we're talking about with the hamstring, whether it was, who knows, like Jeff McLane yesterday said, his understanding it was not a setback. Nick Sirianni was asked today, he plays it close to the vest. So like, well, I won't confirm nor deny that it's a setback for a hamstring injury. It was strange that AJ had sat out of practices, got in 2 practices of being limited. It was just going through drills and warm-ups, but still had his equipment on. It was running through routes, and then now the last 2 practices has been out. So you do wonder, like, okay, is that a setback, or it's just like, nah, we're just gonna have you not practice at all. So
they said it wasn't, but listen, here's the deal on AJ Brown. Should we be concerned? Yes. I mean, I think it's very clear that he's not practiced in like 7 straight practices, almost 2 weeks now. That is obviously a concern. Had a hamstring problem last year. Hamstring problem popping up again. That's a concern. Does it look like A.J. Brown couldn't play tomorrow if he had to? No. And we were at practice right next to A.J. Brown. He looks like he could run out there and, give you 10 catches for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns tomorrow. But it is definitely still interesting that they played him a little bit on Sunday's open practice. He gets pulled halfway through. We haven't seen him since. Sirianni said today it's all precautionary, but we know Sirianni's not necessarily truthful in terms of his every couple of days press conference. It's nothing to sound the alarm about, but you do want to see A.J. Brown, like I just said with Micah Parsons, practice for a couple of weeks before the start of the season, and we're only 21 days out. So keep an eye on him. I think maybe early next week could be a real indicator, because we're already at Thursday. Philly's going to do a walkthrough tomorrow, and then they're going to have a game. He's obviously not going to participate in either of them. I would say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week is kind of like, all right, where are we at here with A.J. Brown? Because you're starting to get very close to game prepping for the Dallas Cowboys if they haven't started already, and making sure the finishing touches to your week 1 plan is really ready to go.
Yeah. I think that it's like, yes, we want him out there. It would be nice to get a full complement of the offensive weapons to say, oh, hey, Jalen and Smitty and AJ Goddard, like all of them on the field at the same time. Because last year, I think we've talked about this in the past, but last year, only 79 of Jalen Hurts' dropbacks had all of them on the field at the same, which is kind of crazy when you think about that number for an entire season, but that's the way it was for injuries. I think that he'll be all right. There's not, it's AJ Brown. He knows how to prepare. He knows how to be ready. Yes, it's like, okay, if he doesn't get as many reps in the, just because of a hamstring, like, is there a little bit of something week 1? Maybe if he has to go out a little bit earlier because he's gassed or whatnot, but like he's a consummate professional. So I think obviously it's like, all right, we'll be okay if you slow play it. That's fine. He doesn't need the reps. If anything, it gives guys like a Johnny Wilson, like a Darius Cooper, Terrace Marshall, and others, more reps who have been kind of showing out and maybe making it worthwhile.
And Jahan Dotson. Everyone keeps worrying about Jahan Dotson.
Yes, of course, Jahan Dotson.
And last year when AJ went out, Jahan Dotson didn't do much. I feel like this year, if AJ misses games, you'll really, smash the overs on your Jahan Dotson stuff. So, we'll see.
That's an automatic. Yes, that'll be the continual. We might just need to have like something down on the bottom, the little ticker, like take Jahan Dotson over 0.5 receptions. Shout out to Sam, by the way. Welcome to Let's Run It tier, the membership there. Congratulations. Got you into the ticket giveaways for the members, so appreciate that.
There you
go. Let's see. Was there another comment here? Making sure I got all the super chats. Yeah, I got the super chats. Oh, no, it was just in reference to what we were covering already. So, okay, good. Yeah, I think as far as the Cleveland side, because I did want to at least bring this up. People asking Shedeur Sanders, obviously big story, gets lots of eyes and attention regardless. Mm-hmm. The oblique injury, I was kind of bummed by that. It was like you wanted to see him on set, like Tanner McKee, Shedeur Sanders. Who doesn't want to see that matchup in preseason? You also get your cornerbacks lots of reps, which we need to see that as well. But now it's looking unlikely. I don't believe, unless I missed it, I don't believe Cleveland made an official decision. But Kevin Stefanski was saying that it's going to be a kind of play it safe, which feels like Shedeur would not play in the preseason game. So maybe it's a Dylan Gabriel, but he's got a hamstring. Kenny Pickett's got a hamstring injury. The Browns quarterback situation is kind of a mess. I was hopeful to get at least one of the better options, but I guess you could say, well, okay, who is that? But still, just to see Shedeur out there, all things considered, might have been a nice treat. It may not go that route, though.
It is so strange, right? If Shedeur had struggled in his preseason debut last week, then it'd be a very different conversation. But the fact that you have Shedeur barely getting first-team reps, or barely getting any reps with the ones and twos to start training camp, and then he's thrust in there, and everyone's freaking out like, oh my gosh, the Browns are setting him up for failure because now he's going to start in a preseason game. He's not ready. Then he plays well. I don't think he, looked like the second coming of Tom Brady, but he looked pretty good against backups. And then now he's injured again, so he slides back down the depth chart. What's going to happen with this kid? He's getting very little training camp reps, and everyone's just going to automatically think they should just put him as the starter when Cleveland inevitably has a losing record 5 weeks into the season because, Joe Flacco's not going to lead that team to the postseason. I just wonder what's going to look like whenever he gets in real live game action week 6 or week 7 or week 8. It's going to be very different than a preseason opener against the Cleveland Brown or the Carolina Panther backups. So I was bummed that he wasn't out there. A little bit of Dylan Gabriel today versus Philadelphia. wasn't terrible, but no one thinks Dylan Gabriel's done much so far during training camp. He needs to have a really good preseason to kind of shift the narrative there. But yeah, the Shador thing is very strange. And I just go back. We talked about this when we were at camp last week. Philly was going to take Shador Sanders. I am convinced Philadelphia was ready to take Shador Sanders, in the 5th round. That's why the Browns traded up. There were reports that Philadelphia was interested. I think they were going to grab him. And I'm just so glad they didn't, simply because the circus that is following Cleveland around right now, that we are, an Eagles show was talking about, would have been 10x amplified in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's I'm kind of with you. I wouldn't have necessarily wanted all that drama. By the way, I think it maybe is on just my side. I'm not sure, but you kind of got blurry there for a little bit, so I don't know if it's connection wise or what. I can hear
Am I
you
still?
perfectly fine, but you're definitely.
Oh yeah, I look very blurry.
Much, yeah. Okay. All right. I didn't know if it was just on my side, but it switched to that. I don't know if there's a easy
I can
fix on that, or
leave and come back if I need to.
okay. Maybe it gets a little bit better here in a second. But you're right though. Like that was kind of the general consensus as far as Shador, and would Philly take him? I'm also glad they did not. Now you have the battle between the Browns owner and general manager, right? Because of the Dylan Gabriel Shador, who's going to win out basically, because that's the storyline there of the owner essentially making the call. Like, I don't care that we've already taken Dylan Gabriel. Now we're going to take Shador Sanders also. And hey, it's a quarterback battle. Glad that we're not there. And some things are just always perspective. But when you take a look and say, all right, the Eagles, where they're at right now, you got Jalen Hurts, and you quite possibly have the best backup quarterback in the NFL. I mean, he's incredibly good. He's got to be top 3, but he could very well be the best backup quarterback. I mean, Tanner McKee, the accuracy, the way that he's not afraid to push the ball down the field, how he helps make these guys better around him. It's different. Jalen and him play different for sure. Jalen is obviously the guy. But a lot of teams can't say, hey, if their starter goes down, they still have a shot. A lot of teams are, if the starter goes down, and we see this, you look across, you see Cleveland and others, but that's it. Like, your hope is maybe, and Cleveland doesn't necessarily have it as much even for a starter. I get that. But there's some teams out there. But Philly, I mean, Tanner McKee, how insane is it for Howie to have hit on him? He was, the 13th quarterback, I think, taken whenever he was drafted. But it just goes to show how he can see. He's got an eye for the quarterback position. He made the term and wanted to be the quarterback factory. But being able to get Tanner McKee and what he's turned into so far, it's not a bad problem to have as far as that extra depth there.
Yeah, you wonder if he's going to play a lot more during the preseason game on Saturday, the same that he did last Thursday. I think it goes to the Eagles' development process with quarterbacks. I mean, they have proven to be able to develop guys. Jalen Hurts, coming out of college, was considered. People talked about Taysom Hill. Is he going to be a gadget guy? He was throwing passes as a wide receiver on double passes that first season. His first pass was like a pitch to him, and then he threw the football. So the development process in Philadelphia is alive and well. I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson is clearly winning the quarterback 3 job. I'm curious to see what he looks like on Saturday afternoon. And then, Kyle McCord's a rookie. He'll probably be a, practice squad guy, and maybe they can develop him as well.
Do you think, I was actually curious, I was going to ask you that. So you think right now, putting you on the spot a little bit, but if they're going to make a decision, you think DTR makes the roster and Kyle McCord is cut, hopefully stays on the practice squad? Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that that's going to be the case. I'd be shocked if they pick DTR right now over McCord. He's gotten majority of the third string reps. He's mixed in a little.
Oh, I think I lost audio on you for.
Okay.
I could see.
I'm going to come back. All
right. We lost him for a second. Little issues with the connection, but he'll be back. Sounded like it was a take DTR over Kyle McCord anyway for that question, but I don't know. Dorian Thompson-Robinson has played better. I would agree with that, but part of me feels like it's the rookie, and they're not going to just totally give up on McCord yet, even if he's struggled in limited reps. All right, let's see. Here we go. There we go.
Not sure if this made a difference, but we're back.
It looks a lot better. Yes. Yep. And
okay.
I can hear you.
Well, I don't know why it always happens. I'm wired into gigabit Ethernet, and yet we still have problems. So I don't know why that is the case, but we're back.
Go figure. And of course, my dog's barking in the background now. So I got the general part of what you were saying. I think DTR over Kyle McCord. There's part of me that thinks that Kyle McCord being the rookie, that holdout hope, possibly saying, well, maybe we take him, but they also traded for DTR. So I don't know. It'd be an interesting battle. See how those guys play in the preseason game.
Yeah, and I mean, Kyle McCord didn't get a lot of reps in the fourth quarter of that game because I think they really liked what they saw from Tanner McKee. But maybe you play Tanner McKee for one quarter, and then you do kind of a quarter and a half for each of the other guys in terms of DTR and Kyle McCord. So it'll be interesting. I think it's still wide open, and maybe they go for the younger guy. But I do think DTR could fit the system. If heaven forbid he had to play, I think he could maybe move around a little bit more because you would need your third string quarterback to do that in order for the offense to kind of keep things rolling. So we'll see. It's not really a battle to me that is obviously top of mind, but it's something to watch, especially on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll have some other battles and everything else. I just realized as it's distracted me now because we're probably going to hear some dog barking for a while. So there's, I think, something going on outside, which no clue. Hopefully it's nothing crazy because I'm not checking it at the moment, but there's something that is clearly out there if we hear more barking. Tyler, remember for 6 months, man, we got 21 days until Birds football. That's right. We're counting now 3 weeks. It is only 3 weeks.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I think I'm blurry again, by the way. So as long as you can hear me fine, just listen to the sound of my voice, and we'll get this fixed on the next stream. I don't know why it's doing this. It's crazy.
Oh, I see that, actually, yeah. My side is okay, actually, but the stream is not.
I don't know why it's doing that. It's ridiculous. But what are you going to do?
That is weird. Well, other positional battles, because people obviously, look at the QB3, see where that one plays out. Darius Cooper was the star of the first preseason game. Can he have that same type of performance? It feels like he's one of those that's very close, if not already, of making the roster. But if he could repeat the same performance against Cleveland, there's no question in my mind. It's like, okay, he has to be the guy to make the roster. But you see the chances or the ability that he has. He's getting more of these looks now. Aaron Moorhead spending more time with him in practice, before practice, after practice, getting those reps in. Michael Clay talking about him on special teams as well. So he's just trying to be as versatile as he can, obviously, to help make the roster. And, I mean, I think we'll be certainly keeping an eye out for him. Terrace Marshall, though, probably the expectation. He had been injured previously, so missed that first game, but he'll probably get some reps in there. Needs to do a couple things, so keep an eye out. And then Elijah Cooks was back at practice, limited though, so I can't imagine that he'll be good enough yet to be ready for the preseason game. But still, some other names out there besides just your Johnny Wilson and Aniyah Smith.
Yeah, it'd be nice for them to have another good evening, right? I mean, Johnny Wilson really flashed in that preseason game. Darius Cooper did as well. You would hate for them to have kind of a quiet day Saturday afternoon versus the Browns. If they can back it up, especially Darius Cooper, you back it up in back-to-back preseason games and have had a good practice the past couple of days, especially today. He was kind of the one guy on offense people were really giving some credit to, including Will Shipley. Back it up with a second preseason game, and I think that roster spot, they might keep 6 this year, Josh. I think that they might keep 6.
I could definitely see that. I mean, even and then you wonder too, because obviously it's a musical chairs game of like, okay, how many players do you keep at other positions? But do you keep only two tight ends? Kylan Granson has seemingly elevated his status slightly above the other candidates for tight end 3.
Seems that way.
But do they need to keep him, or is it just like, hey, we'll get him through the waivers, practice squad, hold on to it. Johnny Wilson with his size can kind of be that hybrid guy. It'll be interesting. Green Wingman here, if you can hear me through the dog barking in the 5, appreciate that. I see them keeping McCord only because they believe they can get DTR through waivers. So there's the take on that side.
There you go. Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, DTR at least has some NFL history that other teams could look at as something that he's got more reps than maybe their third string quarterback. And so maybe you lose him through waivers, but we'll see.
Will be interesting. Let's see. I've got by the way, I did pull up the comments for that last one. If we wanted to do
let's go ahead and do that as we're getting close to wrapping here. Just to preface, so BG is going to be at Dorney Park on Thursday of next week, August 21st. You can buy tickets if you want to go ahead and just go. It's like $40 for tickets. But I was given 2 by the guys at Clear Vision, and so BG will be there. Hopefully you can hang out and get a picture with them and stuff. And so if you commented BG and were subscribed on yesterday's show, then you were obviously entered for that. And we'll spin for that now. Let me know if you're one of the winners. If you can't go, because they have the tickets, but if you can't go, then I want to make sure I give them to somebody who can. So if you win, then go down below my description box. I'll say it's on my show tomorrow as well. Email me, confirm it's you, the usual. And that way you can say, yeah, I can go on a Thursday because obviously people have school, people have work. And so just let me know that you can go. But we can spin that. We get ready to wrap up second joint practice and only joint practice show.
There we go. And yeah, people can get off of school or work or anything like that.
You would think.
Yeah, CBG, yeah, you figure that one out. It is crazy that school is back in session. That's a totally random off-topic one, but the traffic has been rough. You forget about how easy it is during the summer, and then all of a sudden it's like,
it's all back. It's all back.
Okay, I do have it here. Looks like we're good, set up, ready to go for the spin. Should we do this thing?
Let's do it.
All
as
right.
long as it's for it's commenting BG, right?
Hang on 1 second.
If
Let
you
me
can
double
do that,
check. I think I did it. Let me make sure. No, actually, I did not. I thought I did. Okay. Maybe whenever I refreshed. Good call. That would have been like, whose comment is this?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're good. Now we got the right number of comments and everything. So, all right, I'll throw this back up here. And good luck to everybody. Let's see who it is.
Here we go.
Spinning away. It is Life of Demo. Life of Demo. BG and amusement park in one sentence sounds like a great time. I see him telling the park people to play the Eagles fight song just to troll the opponent.
I bet you he will. I mean, come on. It's not a more fun Eagle to hang out with at a amusement park. So let me get this added, Life of Demo, to my top of my description box. So if he watches this at the end, then he should be good to go. But there we go. We got our Dorney Park winner. Need to hear from you soon. If not, I'll redraw. And, of course, all the other, 100K giveaway stuff, the jersey, the signed stuff, the tickets. We're going to talk about that on my next show that comes out tonight or tomorrow morning. So stay tuned for that because those winners are going to be announced pretty soon.
Don't want to miss. That's why you guys should be subscribed, notification turned on, and everything else. So good stuff planned. Even bigger. Matt, he did. Matt joined maybe a little bit late. Thomas, did you get to 100K yet? He did. We were talking about that earlier.
I did. 100K.
Yeah.
Yep.
The celebration, baby.
Last night, I woke up at like 3 a.m. I was tossing and turning. I checked, and I was at 99,998. And I was like, come on, somebody. Man. And then I woke up at 100,006, and I was like, all right, we did it. There we go.
Let's go. Yes. Oh, no wonder. You were tossing and turning because you knew how close it was going to be. So it's like, all right, keep checking, double check. There it is.
Very exciting.
That's big time. And now you got the plaque as well, or ordering the plaque. So, get the plaque soon. Get that up. I think we were talking about this yesterday, but you got to have an idea of where you're placing that thing. Is that going specifically somewhere?
I think it's going to go over here. I think I'm going to move some stuff around. I think it's going to be on this side because I like the football or the helmets on this side. So I think it'll be over here, but we'll see. Maybe I'll give this away. Maybe I'll give the Smitty background picture away. Who knows? Let me know if people in the chat would want me to do that.
Okay.
We'll
hey, I feel like people would want, but yeah, maybe a signed Thomas Mott Smitty because that's the iconic 100K like video. This was the 100K video. It was back there in the background. So
it's true.
Hey,
we'll see.
That's not a bad idea. My gosh, this is we're
having fun.
Off the rails here. This is and my wife is gone, so I'm kind of at a loss of either. I can't let them out because the neighbors are also back there right now. So we're getting through this. We appreciate you guys though. Yeah, we got a lot of dog lovers on the channel, so I'm sure that people understand this. Let's see. Last thing here, at least on my topic, is just as we're talking about camp, but as well as looking into the preseason game, running back position. I'm looking forward to that battle as well. Interesting to see Will Shipley, A.J. Dillon, how much reps do they get? Where do they play? I thought that Kevin Patullo made an interesting comment talking about we're testing them, right? Like Will Shipley, getting him more reps as just a pure runner. A.J. Dillon, on the flip side of that, getting him heavily involved in the passing game just because you never know. And both guys have shown out in areas where you might not necessarily have gone like, hey, Will Shipley, is he going to be your every down runner? Not that, Saquon's, but obviously, but whenever he comes in, it probably would have been like, well, maybe more A.J. Dillon. But if you have a third down passing situation, well, okay, yeah, there's Will Shipley for sure. And they flipped that. But, hey, so far, the returns are great. And that's not to mention, Derek Powell, long way to go. But maybe he can do something. You got Keelan Robinson as well. So there's some different guys.
Yeah, Shipley, again, we mentioned it had a very nice day today. They've loved what A.J. Dillon's done, especially with his hands out of the backfield. Caught a touchdown pass yesterday, I think it was. I'm trying to remember what day they all blend together. And
Hmm.
both got runs last week. Shipley seemingly was the starter, at least behind Saquon Barkley. But they're definitely keeping A.J. Dillon. I don't see anybody else really, pushing to kind of be the fourth running back. They're going to be practice squad guys. But I do think this unit's going to be more not better than last year because, Saquon going to get 2,000 again, we hope, but, he gets 1,800 yards, still success. But I do think they're going to be a lot more consistent because Gainwell would have his moments, but Gainwell didn't get a ton of run, especially later on in the season. So I do hope you see a little bit more spells for Saquon Barkley and a couple more short yardage gives to A.J. Dillon. I think that they can do a lot of stuff with both of those guys, plus Barkley in the backfield.
Yeah, and it's also really nice too because, and I think who was this that said it a second ago? Oh, Trey. Trey said AJ Dillon looked impressive. It's cool to see whenever guys are having fun, and then maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's like just a very generic statement. Well, yeah, they're playing, but like you can tell guys that want to be there and are almost like rejuvenated, getting more energy of being around the game versus guys that are kind of like, yeah, well, like, hopefully maybe we'll see. And not to take a shot necessarily, but like Rashad Penny, for example, that didn't work out. But even whenever he was talking about like limited reps that he got, you're just kind of like, I don't know. Like, it'd be interesting to see him, but you don't feel that. AJ Dillon on the other side, when he's got an opportunity, he looked fresh, looked really athletic, explosive, so we're not saying like, okay, he was out for a year. Did not look like a guy who had been away from football that long. But also, he's made those comments in the press conferences and posted to his social media being like, football is fun. Like, that's all that he said. But football is fun, posting some pictures. You can tell how much he's enjoying being around. And that rejuvenation is like, okay, I think you're going to expect a little bit more. We understand that the efficiency, the yards per carry, things like that had kind of dipped,
Yeah.
certainly the last couple years when he was in Green Bay, but he was dealing with a neck injury, and it was something that he ended up having to miss a full season for. So to be here in Philly with this offensive line, I mean, Saquon Barkley, it's really, really big. But then to your point, as far as Saquon goes, I think it's more of a concerted effort even this season than it was last season. If the Eagles get up, absolutely. But even in other games,
I think
like
so.
a change of pace, like it doesn't have to be Saquon carrying you to victory of 30 carries, like maybe 20 carries and give, 5, 7-ish carries to AJ, 5 carries to Will Shipley. Overall as a team, you have 35 carries or so. Pretty good spot. But I don't think it's
totally
as much
agree.
of a workload for Saquon.
Yep.
Let's see. Let me hit on a couple of these super chats. If people can hear me through the dog, appreciate that. For you guys sticking with us. It's Donut, by the way. Some people were asking who that was.
It's the little
our
one.
Little,
Yep.
yeah, mini dachshund. It's always the little ones. They're just yapping. Donnell with a 5. Appreciate that one. Says, which players have been ranked in the top 100 from the Eagles? That is an interesting question. Top 100.
Jalen Carter, Devontae Smith, Jordan Mailata,
Coop.
Q, and Coop. So 5. So Saquon is still to come. A.J. Brown is still to come. We'll see if Jalen Hurts makes it, although I doubt it because that's how this NFL rankings works.
Oh,
and
surely
then that's
he will,
probably
right?
it.
Because it wasn't
And then Lane.
Yeah. Surely
Yeah,
Jalen.
so they
surely
still have at
Jalen's
least
gonna
4
work.
more. I
Because
think so, but I mean,
Jalen made it last year easily. Wasn't he like top 30 or I'm
Yeah, well, we're
forgetting, but I
getting
know he
close
was
to the
like
top
easily
30.
in there. So, but like I'm just saying, even though he was not as great, he surely has to. I mean, come on, it's
Yep.
the only issue is that they have they take that poll in like what, November, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
That's part of the problem.
So
That's
if
part
it
of the
was
problem.
taken after the Super Bowl, like people are gonna
Bond,
my gosh,
Zach
yeah.
Bond. So I mentioned Zach Bond. Yep, I agree with that.
Yeah.
A lot of
he was
players
in there.
left.
That's true. I don't know. Maybe we get like 10 total.
It's
Possibly.
gonna be a lot.
It's got to be the most. You compare it at least to past seasons. I can't imagine another team's gonna pass that, but not too bad. Life of Demo. Hey, look at that. He's actually here with a super chat. The 2.
Hey,
I
is he?
finally won. Let's go. It's in a
There you
super
go.
chat.
Yes, send me an email. It's
Come
down in the
on.
description box. Refresh this on. You gotta be on my channel. Refresh and then send me an email. All the details are down below. I'll get those
There
tickets
you
sent to
go.
you ASAP. How about that?
Heck
A
yeah.
live winner.
We don't have that super often, so to actually have someone on the show
There
at
you
the
go.
time and win it,
Congrats.
big time. That saves some time too to be like, hey, so and so
does.
won, claim it. Sometimes we
Yep.
have those, but All right, as we're wrapping up here, I think this is the last super chat, if I'm not mistaken. Is it Daryl with a 5? I joined late. How did Jalen perform in practice? Are we worried about him throwing interceptions, and do we expect the pass game to get better?
Didn't throw an interception. Not that worried. No A.J. Brown, no Saquon, no Lane was a factor today, and I think it'll be just fine. But A.J. Brown being out is always going to be a factor, and they only threw the ball like 17 times today. It wasn't crazy. So not great, but not anything to be worried about.
Saving things for the preseason game, and based on reports, I mean, people can attest to this, being in the Philly area, but based on reports, very hot day, not the most friendly. So it's probably another reason of limiting the practice session. But they'll get the walkthrough in tomorrow. They'll play on Saturday, and then we'll see. Mostly get the runs of the backups. Be interesting if we see maybe a couple as far as the defensive side, like we mentioned. So will Sidney Brown be able to make some plays? He has made a couple. He's one of those that is quiet, I guess. Like, no news is good news in a way, because it's not getting beat, but it's also not anything that's like, hey, Sidney Brown looked really good today. And I don't know if that's like overshadowed because so many people are focusing on, well, Q's locking down his man and Coop's being fine there, but cornerback 2 is getting beat. Like, I don't know if it's just that gets the overshadowed part, but keep an eye on safety. He needs to make some of those tackles in space. Little less speed, little more control, which has been the same thing for him. Okay, but I think we got it. I think we hit on all the topics. Anything else on your side? Congrats again, people joining late. Thomas, 100K.
Thank you, everybody in the chat. A lot of people reaching out. I really appreciate it. So stay tuned for my next show, probably tomorrow morning at this rate. And we'll have all the details on, hopefully, one of you winning 2 tickets, one of you winning signed stuff, and there'll be more giveaways after that as we get to 105 and 110 and, beyond.
Big time. There we go. Well, congrats again also, man. It has been a blast. Just getting started, as we said. Game streams, you will not be present.
I'm not here Saturday.
For Saturday.
Out of town.
Probably going to still stream, so come hang out. That's at least the plan as of right now. So still have that going if people want to hang out, just kind of keep up to date on what's going on. The play-by-play will be not as... I'd just say not as good. I was trying to think.
I wouldn't sell yourself short. Still very good.
More of a color commentary than play-by-play. Well, we'll do our best, but we'll have the scoreboard and everything. But enjoy while you're out. Stay tuned, as Thomas said, other videos, everything else, the giveaways. Appreciate you guys. And as always, go Birds.
Go Birds.